third-year student at the Tshwane University of Technology has been found with stab wounds, killed on campus this week. A man has been taken into police custody who we're told is her former boyfriend. For more on this, we can speak to Oxfam SA Executive Director Lebohang Ramafoko. A very good evening to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. We appreciate you waiting quite a while tonight. So, as things stand, what we know is that the two people, the murdered woman and the alleged killer, both very young, early 20s, and it speaks, does it not, to just how violence in our society, gender-based violence, seeps right across the various age groups and demographics.
Yes, that is true, and it's hardly surprising because we really live in a violent society. And when you are a woman, regardless of any age in South Africa, you remain vigilant wherever you walk, wherever you are, whenever you interact with the world, whether you are 8 years old, you are 9 years old, you are 6 years old, you are 20 years old. But we also see that what we have been saying, and many activists have been saying, that we are not dealing with isolated incidents. We are dealing with a way of dealing with conflict, a way of dealing with disagreement, a way of believing that a man has ownership over a woman's body. Not only a woman's body, I'm talking about in heterosexual relationships, but also that men can police masculinity. That is why you will see the attack on the LGBTIQ plus community, and also you will see that this is all about power and control. Now, in a country like ours, with so many other, firstly, the traumatic history of our past, and really our current government failing at all levels to deal with the 25% reported cases, you then see how this will then permeate all levels of society.
And one of the most disturbing but not surprising details which we're reading about in this case is that young Ntokozo Xaba had complained before that this young man, who, as we know now, we've been told, is a Blue Bulls rugby player, she had complained about a relationship where there had been, according to reports, abuse in the past, had sought police intervention, but all of that had come to naught, which is not an unfamiliar story in South Africa.
Unfortunately, the culture of accountability does not happen in South Africa, particularly when people hold certain positions. Firstly, let's start by saying the culture in South Africa is that women are not believed. And I can imagine that when this woman reported this man, perhaps for playing rugby, perhaps for being popular, the woman, was not believed because, of course, sports and the way people carry themselves basically promotes a particular kind of masculinity. So you are not only coming in and reporting an individual, you are reporting an individual who carries a certain accepted by the current social norms way of masculinity, who's probably admired, who probably relatively holds particular power, and when I talk about power, I'm talking about even amongst friends, etc. So you are really seen as a disruptor when you are a woman and you are speaking out against somebody like him. But the idea that the police will even not take this seriously, many women report that. Many women report the fact that when they go and report these cases, they are not taken seriously. Even when they want to leave a relationship, that is when it is most dangerous.
And we've not named this man, the alleged killer, only because he's yet to appear in court. But from what has been gathered about the events on Wednesday night, as we understand, not too far from TUT, the Tshwane University of Technology, is that there was a social gathering of some sort. They were both present. People known to them, friends and relatives as well, were reluctant to leave Ntokozo with the man in question because they knew of the history of the relationship. But according to Sowetan Live, I think they were reporting that she said, okay, she was fine, they were going to have a conversation, and the people left, but later realized something had gone wrong when they went to knock on her door at the residence and noticed there was blood on the handle. I want to go back to the issue of the two of them being left to talk things out or whatever the conversation was about? Because often when these things happen, everyone goes to, well, why didn't the person leave? But it shows, does it not, that you can leave and then later still be attacked.
Well, I mean, gender-based violence, and I think that is why sometimes it's hard to understand. It's very complex.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get into the possible reasons why the woman did not want to leave. Remember, when it is between people who've loved each other, there could be, and I'm not saying this was the case, I'm just saying possibilities. There could be the fact that you may believe that this person this time around will change. And in fact, there are things like a honeymoon phase where there is abuse, where the person will abuse you and even put you in hospital and show so much remorse and shower you with gifts, where at the end of the day, in your mind, you are really not sure. There are moments of pleasure and moments of joy and what you perceive as love, and you don't see it as manipulation and control.
But even
the
then,
second thing is,
just on that
the
point,
second thing,
can I just say something on that point? That we often underestimate when we speak about abuse in black and white terms, that the emotional connection, like in any other relationship that comes to an end, is not severed immediately. It never is, really.
Yes, but you are correct. But the second point is, you may say, I'll talk to him because you believe, as the person that's being abused, that you can talk sense into them. And at that moment, you are with peers, they are friends. You don't want attention on you in that gathering, you know? And you'd rather say, well, I know him. Let me just go and talk to him. And that way, it's a fear response. It's a response of saying, I really don't want to be embarrassed in this scenario because I know how this person could behave. Or he may leave and not do anything to me now. But when he meets me in private, he may even say, yeah, you know, you bring people into our affairs, you know, those men you are sleeping with, etc. So physical violence is accompanied by emotional violence. And so I'm mapping two scenarios of what could have been the thing that made her say, don't worry, I am fine, leave. It could have been, well, it looks like it's changed, or I fear what could happen if I allow people to interfere. You know, I mean, you know, somebody would even say you are making people meddle into, you know, our affairs. It's your friends, it's these people you hang around. So in trying to protect yourself, as weird and as sad as it sounds, you try and almost put yourself in front of fire and say, let me rather go with him, hoping that you can speak sense into this person or hoping that they will come down. Unfortunately, as you say, in this case, that did not happen.
And just on that, for those of us who have been in such situations, and many of us have indeed been, where you are well aware that the people you're around have had a very toxic and violent relationship. One says, you guys can go, we'll be fine, or we've talked things out, or we're going to talk things out, I'm okay in this moment. What do we do? Do we go? Do we keep a distance but monitor the situation constantly? What should we do as bystanders?
Well, I mean, I think you could do the same. I think you could call a person like that on the side and say, here's my number, if anything happens, dial it. The circumstances are very complex. And in this case, it sounds like the friends did what they could at the moment. You can't also rule out whether or not when they left, they went to rest or they also had other things to do. I'm not too sure what else people can do, but I would advise people to say, when there's a situation like that, perhaps alert somebody at rest and alert other people to be saying, we saw so-and-so live with so-and-so. Please keep an eye. If you hear sounds, let us know. But if this person, and this is also a possibility, had really planned it, you may find that sometimes even the people around are not even aware of what is taking place.
Okay, so it's a matter of, if you see something, say something, but often because of the Because we all think violence in relationships happens in an abusive way that everyone, in an explosive way, I beg your pardon, that everyone can notice. But people can be abused right under your nose without you noticing.
Yes, but let us not forget that we are at a point where they are arriving at the same venue, and this guy approaches this woman because so many things in the systems failed. The police failed her, and so many other things in the system failed, you know. We are also at places of entertainment. There is a lot of alcohol associated with GBV. I'm not excusing his behavior, but I'm basically saying that, you know, there was a lot of things that was fertile ground for any of this stuff to take place. But the question we need to ask, more importantly, and I hope it will be asked as this case becomes clearer, is what was it about the police or anybody else, including the rugby team, to not believe the woman? And I think it is the million-dollar question. What must happen? How many women in this country must die before a woman comes in and reports and drastic action is taken?
Lebohang Ramafoko, good to speak to you under very tragic circumstances. Thank you for your time.